They called it the engine that could save two-strokes from extinction. The Tohatsu 90 TLDI promised power, fuel savings, and ultra-low emissions, all in a lightweight, simple design. But here's the twist. This brilliant outboard quietly vanished from US waters, forgotten by the very market it tried to serve. How did a motor this good fade into history? Stick around, because today we're uncovering the surprising story of an engine that deserved a far greater legacy. Launched in the early 2000s, the Tohatsu 90 TLDI, which stands for two-stroke low-pressure direct injection, was Tohatsu's answer to the growing demands for cleaner, more efficient outboards. It represented a new generation of two-stroke engines that sought to meet stricter environmental regulations without giving up what boaters loved: lightweight, simplicity, and raw power. With a displacement of 114 cubic inches and 3 cylinders, it delivered 90 horsepower at 5,250 RPM. The engine tipped the scales at just 315 pounds, lighter than most comparable four-strokes, and it delivered excellent low-end torque. For anglers, commercial operators, and anyone needing fast hole shots, this engine checked all the boxes. At the heart of the TLDI was its unique direct injection system. Licensed from Orbital Corporation of Australia, the system used low-pressure air assistance to precisely deliver fuel directly into the combustion chamber. This innovation allowed the TLDE to burn cleaner than conventional two-strokes, easily meeting tough EPA 2006 standards and earning CARB 3-star ultra-low emissions certification in California. On top of that, users reported 30 to 40% better fuel economy compared to older carbureted two-strokes. The Orbital system was genuinely revolutionary, using stratified charge combustion to create distinct fuel-rich and fuel-lean zones within the cylinder. This allowed for complete combustion while maintaining the power characteristics that made two-strokes legendary. Unlike some clean-burning engines that achieved low emissions by sacrificing performance, the TLDI delivered both. Dyno tests consistently showed strong torque curves from idle to redline, with peak torque arriving early enough to provide the instant throttle response that commercial operators and sport fishermen demanded. Even with this high-tech injection system, the TLDI remained simple where it counted. No valves to adjust, no timing belts to replace, just a straightforward, rugged design that made maintenance easy and kept long-term costs down. For those who knew about it, the Tohatsu 90 TLDI seemed like the perfect compromise. Modern emissions and efficiency without the weight or complexity of four strokes. So why did this engine, with so much promise, disappear from US waters? The answer lies in market forces that even smart engineering couldn't overcome. Before we uncover what really killed the Tohatsu 90 TLDI, don't forget to subscribe and drop a comment below. What's your all-time favorite outboard? Let's see which motor gets the most love. Now, here's the kicker. The Tohatsu 90 TLDI, despite its advanced technology and clear advantages, entered the US market at exactly the wrong time. By the early 2000s, the tide had already turned in favor of four-stroke outboards. Major players like Honda, Yamaha, Mercury, and Suzuki were investing heavily in marketing four-strokes as the cleaner, quieter, smarter choice. They pushed the narrative that four-strokes were the future, and consumers bought into that message. By 2005, in some US market segments, four-strokes accounted for close to 75% of outboard sales. Even though the TLDI matched or exceeded these engines in emissions compliance and fuel efficiency, perception had shifted dramatically. Two-strokes, even innovative ones like the TLDI and Evinrude's ETEC, were increasingly viewed as old technology, trying to hold on in a market that had moved on. Independent testing revealed just how competitive the TLDI really was. Fuel consumption figures often matched or beat four-stroke competitors in the same horsepower range. In typical trolling conditions, the TLDI consumed roughly 2.5 to 3.5 gallons per hour, while comparable four-strokes often burned 3 to 4 gallons. At cruise speeds, this efficiency gap widened even further, with some users reporting consumption as low as 8 to 9 gallons per hour when running 25 to 30 miles per hour with appropriate loads. And Tohatsu? They simply didn't have the dealer network, advertising budget, or brand power in the US to fight back. Many dealers either didn't carry Tohatsu at all, or only stocked small kicker motors. The 90 TLDI, despite being a genuinely competitive product, struggled to find its place in showrooms. For those in the know, it was a hidden gem, but for the wider boating public, it was invisible. In the end, the TLDI's technical brilliance wasn't enough to overcome a market swept up in four-stroke fever. So what exactly made the Tohatsu 90 TLDI stand out in a sea of outboards? It all came down to a clever blend of simplicity and cutting-edge engineering. At the heart of the TLDI was its low-pressure, air-assisted direct injection system, a technology licensed from Orbital Corporation of Australia. Unlike older two-strokes that relied on carburetors or basic fuel injection, the TLDI precisely delivered fuel into the combustion chamber using a combination of electronically controlled fuel injectors and air assistance. The result? A cleaner, more complete burn that dramatically reduced unburned hydrocarbons, the main culprit behind traditional two-stroke emissions. The injection system operated at relatively low pressures, around 43 pounds per square inch, compared to modern automotive direct injection systems that operate at 2,000 plus pounds per square inch. This lower pressure allowed for simpler, more reliable components, while still achieving excellent fuel atomization through the air assist feature. Each injector delivered precisely metered fuel charges based on throttle position, engine load, and RPM, creating optimal combustion conditions across the entire operating range. But it didn't stop there. The TLDI featured microprocessor-controlled engine management that optimized fuel delivery and ignition timing in real time, oil injection from a separate reservoir that reduced oil consumption and minimized smoke, and a compact three-cylinder, 1,832 cubic centimeter block that delivered excellent low-end torque while keeping weight down to just 315 pounds, lighter than many four-stroke rivals. With fewer moving parts overall, no valves to adjust, no timing chains to worry about, it meant easier maintenance and fewer failure points. Maintenance intervals also favored the TLDI significantly. Oil changes were required every 100 hours or annually, compared to 50-hour intervals for many four-strokes. The absence of valve adjustments, timing belt replacements, and complex cooling system maintenance meant lower long-term ownership costs. Spark plugs typically lasted 200 to 300 hours, and the fuel injection system required minimal service beyond periodic filter changes. On the water, this translated to strong hole shots, smooth mid-range performance, and fuel economy that rivaled four-strokes, often delivering 30% or more fuel savings compared to older two-strokes. And thanks to its CARB 3-star ultra-low emissions rating, it was legal to operate even in California's strictest waters. On paper, the Tohatsu 90 TLDI seemed like a winning formula. But as history shows, great engineering isn't always enough to guarantee success. The TLDI's downfall wasn't because of performance flaws or reliability issues. It was the result of a perfect storm of market forces, perception, and business realities. First, dealer support. In the US, Tohatsu simply didn't have the dealer network that giants like Mercury, Yamaha, or Honda had built over decades. Many boaters preferred buying from brands with widespread parts availability, service support, and established relationships. Without that network, the TLDI often wasn't even on the radar of buyers walking into showrooms. Second, marketing muscle. Tohatsu didn't have the massive advertising budgets needed to change consumer perceptions. Four-strokes were being sold as the modern, eco-friendly, and reliable choice. Even though the TLDI matched or exceeded four-strokes on emissions and fuel economy, it was still seen by many as a two-stroke trying to keep up. Third, timing and regulation trends. By the time the TLDI hit its stride, the industry was already moving in one direction, toward four-strokes. Regulators, manufacturers, and consumers all leaned into this future, leaving even the most advanced two-strokes struggling for space. Finally, there was complexity perception. Ironically, even though the TLDI had fewer moving parts than a typical four-stroke, many buyers worried about its direct injection system being complicated or hard to service. This fear persisted despite the engine's actually simpler maintenance requirements and longer service intervals. By 2012, Tohatsu discontinued the 90 TLDI in the US. The motor that had promised so much quietly left American waters, not because it failed, but because the market had moved on without it. Though the Tohatsu 90 TLDI faded from US showrooms, its story didn't end there. In fact, this outboard quietly built a loyal following in parts of the world where durability, efficiency, and ease of maintenance matter most. Across Southeast Asia, Africa, South America, and remote island nations, the TLDI found a second life powering fishing boats, water taxis, and patrol vessels, places where a motor's performance means survival, not just recreation. While the TLDI struggled in the US market, it found remarkable success in regions where performance and reliability outweighed brand prestige. In Australia, where Orbital's injection technology originated, commercial fishing fleets embraced the TLDI for its combination of power and fuel efficiency. Indonesian water taxi operators discovered that the engine's light weight allowed for better boat handling in shallow waters, while its fuel economy stretched operating budgets in markets where every gallon counted. African lake fishermen found the TLDI particularly suited to their needs. The engine's simple design meant repairs could be handled with basic tools, while its fuel efficiency allowed longer trips to productive fishing grounds. In remote locations where fuel delivery was expensive and unreliable, the TLDI's economy often made the difference between profitable and unprofitable fishing operations. Commercial operators valued the TLDI's power-to-weight ratio and low fuel consumption. Parts were relatively easy to source in these regions, or owners stockpiled spares to keep their engines running. In some cases, entire fleets were built around the TLDI because of its blend of strength, simplicity, and clean operation. Unlike recreational markets where brand image often wins the sale, these buyers cared about one thing: getting the job done day after day. Perhaps most tellingly, many of these international operators began stockpiling TLDI engines and parts as word spread about the motor's discontinuation in major markets. This wasn't just brand loyalty, it was recognition that they had found a motor that perfectly matched their operational requirements. Back in the US, the TLDI developed a sort of cult status among enthusiasts who recognized what the engine offered. Owners who still have one know they're holding on to something special. These motors tend to stay in service for years, passed between owners who understand their value. And because Tohatsu built them tough, well-maintained examples still provide reliable service long after many comparable motors have been retired. Today, a dedicated community of TLDI owners maintains an informal network of knowledge, parts, and expertise. Online forums host detailed discussions about maintenance techniques, performance modifications, and part sourcing. Some owners have modified their TLDIs with aftermarket ECU tuning, extracting even more performance while maintaining the engine's clean burning characteristics. Interestingly, as four-stroke technology has matured and grown more complex, some boaters are rediscovering the appeal of the TLDI's straightforward design. Modern four-strokes, while refined, often require specialized diagnostic equipment and dealer-level service for routine maintenance. The TLDI, by contrast, can be serviced by any competent mechanic with basic marine engine knowledge. This underground appreciation has created a small but steady market for used TLDIs. Well-maintained examples often sell for surprisingly high prices, sometimes approaching their original MSRP. Buyers recognize they're acquiring not just an engine, but a piece of marine technology that represents the road not taken. The story of the Tohatsu 90 TLDI teaches us that in the world of marine engines, success isn't just about brilliant engineering. The TLDI represented more than just another outboard motor. It was a glimpse into an alternate future for marine propulsion. While the industry rushed headlong toward four-stroke technology, the TLDI demonstrated that two-stroke engines could evolve to meet modern demands without abandoning their fundamental advantages. The TLDI ticked all the right boxes: clean emissions, strong fuel economy, excellent torque, and simple, durable design. Yet it couldn't overcome the combined forces of market perception, weak dealer networks, and the unstoppable march toward four-stroke dominance. The best technology doesn't always win, not if it doesn't align with the industry's story or the consumer's expectations. There's also a lesson here for boaters and buyers. Dig deeper than the marketing. Sometimes the most capable tools are the ones you don't hear about in glossy ads or see on showroom floors. The TLDI was ahead of its time, offering what many boaters still seek today: reliability, efficiency, and performance without unnecessary complexity. The engine's ability to maintain peak performance while meeting CARB's strictest standards wasn't just impressive. It was proof that two-stroke technology had untapped potential that the market never fully explored. Today, if you're lucky enough to find a well-maintained TLDI 90, you're holding on to a piece of outboard history, a reminder of what might have been if the market had chosen differently. These engines continue to deliver on their promise, quietly powering boats where getting the job done matters most. If you liked this video, make sure to subscribe for more.